First Nation Sustainable Forest Management. What is a forest management plan? A forest management plan designates the area which harvesting will take place, the sustainable amount of wood harvested, and the type of harvesting that will be conducted. Some of the factors that will determine which areas will be harvested are the type of fiber, density of the forest, protection of endangered species, protection of traditional plants, etc. The area chosen will be selected by the community/project members and using local knowledge, mapping, and field visits. The area selected will also minimize any impacts to other neighboring communities. The plan will also include a forest regeneration and how it will be managed by the community. Forest regeneration can be done naturally with no intervention, scattering the limbs and branches so that the seeds stay in their area, seeding from an airplane, or by tree planting. What are the types of harvesting? There are three main types of harvesting. This first picture shows an aerial view of a clear cut. It is created to emulate a shape which a natural forest fire would leave behind. The second type of harvesting is called strip clearing. As you can see, there is clearly a line of trees missing in between the natural formation of the forest. The last and third type of harvesting is called selective harvesting. This is where a specific type of trees is removed from a forest area. On the most bottom part of this picture, we see the unlogged forest, nice and dense and green. As you move up in the picture, you can see a 30% logged, where you can see clearly more spaces in between the trees. And if we move further up, closer to the top of the picture, you'll see a 55% logged area, where you can see many spaces in between the trees. Clear cutting. Almost all trees are removed from an area. This method is used in forests where most of the trees are similar in age and size. Clumps of trees are left behind to provide habitat for wildlife and seeds. Both fire and clear cutting result in a green flush of emerging trees and plants that provide food for wildlife that like leafy vegetation, such as moose. Clear cuts do not have to be hundreds or thousands of hectares in size. They can be only a few hectares to tens of hectares, with lots of trees and clumps of trees left unharvested. In the far north, fires are still allowed to burn and fulfill their important role in habitat creation. People generally struggle with the idea of clear cutting. However, in many sites, it is the most suitable harvesting method, as species growing there need lots of light to be able to regenerate. Strip clearing removes strips or lines of trees. This method is often used in spruce lowland forest where the trees are different in ages and sizes. The remaining strips of trees will provide lots of seeds to regenerate. Harvesting is usually done in wintertime, and harvesters are careful not to damage smaller trees that will help regenerate the area. Selective thinning is not likely to impact migration routes and less substantial old forest habitat loss. This is the least obstructive method. However, in order to harvest the required amount of wood, a much larger area is impacted compared to clear cutting or strip cutting. Thinning has the least impact to the forest, but in order to get the required amount of wood, it would have to take place over a significantly larger area. This is also the most labor-intensive way to harvest because there are no large spaces for equipment. In forest management, nature leads the way through forest fires. Fire is a very common natural disturbance. Tree species growing here are used to fire. They like lots of sunlight and they can regenerate quickly. Harvesting removes trees like fires do, creates a lot of light and space. Natural regeneration, planting, and seedings are used to regenerate the harvest areas. If you see the map, you'll see red, orange, yellow areas. Those are old forest fires. Forest fire cycle. We start in the bottom right corner and we see new growth. Plants and trees quickly grow. They absorb the most carbon dioxide in this stage. In the second picture, we see the forest continues to develop. The third picture shows a mature forest. There are many tall trees, and the forest floor has many plants. Animals have created dens and nesting areas. The fourth picture shows a forest fire. Most trees and plants are burned. The fifth picture is forest fire regeneration. Once the fire has gone out, the burned trees and plants provide nutrients to restart the cycle. Some plants will only regenerate after a forest fire. The cycle begins again. Conclusions. There is no set way to harvest the trees for community needs. Each First Nation must decide which method or combination of methods will be appropriate. The most important part is to properly plan your harvesting requirement and where the harvesting will take place. Community dialogue and input is a must. From this input, a forest management plan can be developed, recognizing community priorities such as trap lines and medicinal uses. The forest management plan must be community developed and community approved. We would like to thank you for your time to view this presentation today. Please feel free to contact Walter Manitwabi or Christy Corbier directly should you have any questions or comments. Miigwech.